honestly had like a negative connotation to entrepreneurship my whole life. Like when I think, up until maybe like the last year of my life, when I think entrepreneur, I think college club promoter. Like that is what comes to mind. Because like that's like all I knew. Like the kids that were like entrepreneurship majors in college were club promoters.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I think that the way that people fundamentally thought about subscription was broken. I think that people thought about it as like, okay, get people on subscription and then like don't contact them so that way they don't cancel, and like do things to prevent them from cancel. But they weren't thinking about it as like, this should almost be like a loyalty program. And that we are now focusing so much on retention marketing. The way that I built Stay is really with like the marketer, the Avi guys, like we got introduced through Ron.
Yeah.
They're on the app, and like we were able to run these tests for them that significantly changed the way that they run their subscription program now. It was like total game changers.
Yeah, I saw Ash posted on Twitter something like, oh, my thing's like crazy.
They just hit their biggest subscription revenue day ever. Like so they moved over about 6 months ago. Their reoccurring subscription revenue is about to hit like be double what it was.
That's because of you guys.
And yes, it's because of these tests that we were able to run. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 26 of New Money Talks podcast.
That has to be the best intro we've had.
That is one of the best ones, right on the money. She didn't mess up anything. Good job. Fantastic.
We got the one and only Gina Perrelli.
Yeah.
How about concluding the month of March, National Women's Month, with the first female entrepreneur of the podcast? I just thought about that. You know why? Because we run email campaigns for National Women's Month.
There you go.
And
For
here
my
I am.
agency. Are you running some national email? Some national women campaigns?
We definitely did some stuff for National Women's Day on the agency side. Yeah.
Cool. So
He's so cool.
I would be doing you a disservice. Either of us would if we even attempted to intro what you do, because you do a lot. You've done a lot. Just from our little prerequisite conversation.
Before this, we know who she was until we got here, and I walk in, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Shout out Ron from Avi. He was like, you definitely have to have Gina on this thing. And I was like, let's do it. I'm going to let you just tell people who the hell you are, what you do, and everything.
Give a little sales pitch.
Give a little sales pitch of who Gina Perrelli is, and we'll go from there.
Well, hey guys, I'm Gina. I am one of the co-founders of Lunar Solar Group, which is a full-service digital agency. We bootstrapped the company. We're about 70 full-time there. And then most recently, co-founder of StayAi, which is a Shopify app where we help brands process subscriptions and some other really cool loyalty stuff. And that company we've raised $7 million for to date. And actually currently out at market now, it's about 40 full-time, but that's the high-level view.
I told you guys she was a beast. I got the title ready to go after that thing. Cut right there. Yeah. Anyway, I don't even know where to start. Like usually we just literally start saying like, hey, so like how the hell did you get here?
Yeah, because you didn't get here overnight, obviously. So like, walk us through the process of like when you first got into either building businesses or even before that, like what got you interested in
and also fellow New Jersey person too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Can't leave that out.
Represent.
Yeah.
Wait, so where should we
start
where
from
did it start?
Oh no, start like when like you figured out this whole like business.
Start as early as like you feel that either an initial career or like college, whatever, like got you like the transition between and like entrepreneurship.
By the way, this office we're in, crazy place. I'm gonna
nice New York City.
We can do a little walkthrough maybe. Yeah. So when I went to school, I mean, like I never thought I honestly had like a negative connotation to entrepreneurship my whole life. Like when I think, up until maybe like the last year of my life, when I think entrepreneur, I think college club promoter. Like that is what comes to mind. Because like that's like all I knew. Like the kids that were like entrepreneurship majors in college were club promoters.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so I went through college. I first went to school for industrial design. And then I realized I didn't want to do just that. So then I got a business degree. And then I was working at a ski resort / water park, Mountain Creek Action Park. It's a crazy place. And I was running events there. I'd worked for Red Bull before that. My boss from Red Bull introduced me to somebody there. So I was running their events and then kind of just like fell into email marketing. They'd hired somebody to do it. They weren't doing a great job. People weren't coming to the events. So I was like, I'll design the emails. And then I was like, I'll build them. And I was like, I'll just run this whole program. And I was doing that for a bit. We were gearing up for a Chapter 11. They brought in these consultants that fired my entire team besides me. And then we're like, you're going to come work with us.
That's a flex right there.
Yeah, it was, I think, scarier at the time, but like just crazy that they were like, surprise, everyone's fired but you, and you work for us now. So that was what happened. So I worked with them for a bit, and then actually that is how I met my co-founder, that we built all this together. So he was one of those consultants actually that came in. He made a PowerPoint about me as well. And then, we, after working together at that consultancy for a little bit, he convinced me that we should start an agency. I said no about 47 times. And then he wore me down and it kind of tricked me into starting Lunar Solar.
How did he trick you? I'm curious about that one.
I'm working at this, I was working at another tech company because I knew that I wanted to work in tech. So I'm working at this tech company and I love my job there. And then they fire my boss and they bring in this other woman to manage me, and she is horrible.
What was she doing to you?
She just was like nasty. Like I've had this in men and women, but she just was like, she was a total bitch, if I'm being honest. Like she was just nasty. And like, she would just like do, like she was clearly insecure. So she would like do things to like make herself sound smart, but like belittle you in front of other people. And I finally had enough. And Pearson was like, come like do Lunar Solar with me. Like he had already gotten a couple clients on. He was basically like running Facebook ads in the basement, like type of like, you know what I mean? When it's like a one person agency.
What year was this?
Oh my God, back like 2017, maybe beginning of 2018.
We're talking like 6 years ago type of thing.
Yeah. We're talking about a while ago.
So you're like our age.
Yeah.
Not to date anybody here.
I'm like 25 at the time. Yeah. And 20, maybe 24. And then he convinces this other girl to come work for him. And she's pretty smart. And they're running Facebook ads. And he's like, come on, like you can do email for our Facebook ads clients. Like this will be perfect. We'll build this agency.
Little 2K a month upsell.
Right. Like it'll be chill. It'll be chill. And I was like, it'll be chill. And then the boss just basically pushed me over the edge one day, and I was like, you know what? I quit. I am going somewhere else.
Go fuck yourself.
Exactly. Like just like kind of stomped out of a meeting, and I was like, I'm out. And so that's how I came here, and I thought like it would be chill. And scaling and bootstrapping an agency to 70 people is like not particularly chill.
Not chill at all.
I wouldn't say a single part of it was chill. So that's when I say I got tricked. I thought we were building like a 10-person agency.
Yeah. Did you know what like agency meant back then though? Like
I knew because at Mountain Creek we had worked with agencies, and then like this consultancy I worked for was kind of an agency, and then at the tech company I'd worked for, like we worked with agencies on the marketing side, so I knew the difference. Mm-hmm. But again, I just like a lot of the agencies that I met with were 5 people, like 10 people.
Because for most people, like we're in like their early 20s, if you say agency, they're thinking like model agency. They don't even know what the hell marketing agency means, right? And like it's interesting when you do get pushed, like Kyle got pushed into there, like we get it obviously, but like most people don't even know what the hell that means.
True.
It's pretty much like companies will pay you to do their marketing for them in a sense, because like they don't want to do it, like they're not good enough for it, and like you're an expert at that. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah. So I like built up this career in email marketing. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I can go do email and like run it for a couple other brands. And then like, 3 brands turned into 6 brands, turned into 10 brands, turns into 20 brands. And now like agency powers over 100 brands. So it was definitely an aggressive 4 years. That's a good line. Agency powers brands. I like that. When you power the brands, not like work with them, power them. Yeah. That's good. I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah. We say we're a growth partner. We're not like the anti-agency, because like traditional agencies suck.
Yeah.
Some people hate agencies though. Like there's a lot of like negative connotation behind it.
Huge negative connotation to agencies. And you know what? The longer I've been in it, at first we were like, we're going to be an agency that's not like anyone else. Like we're not going to lock you up in contracts and we're not going to do this.
And you're like contracts.
But then you realize like, you know what? No, like at the end of the day, anyone can be a dick. The brands are dicks sometimes and the agencies are dicks sometimes. Yeah. So like everyone needs to protect themselves. So like all these things where we're like, can't believe these agencies lock people up in contracts. Now I'm like, everyone of you is signing contracts.
I actually kind of want to dive into some of that later on, because I think people who are growing agencies could learn from that too, like ways to like structure agreements, structure offerings, like if you guys do multiple offerings, all this type of stuff. But like I want to keep pushing on, go back to that type of stuff. So like your friend forces you pretty much start the agency.
I get bullied.
How the hell did you get it to like big to like say 30, 40, 50 people? Like how does that work?
Did you always do like, I'm assuming now you do email and ads and creative and every like full service.
Yeah.
But you said it kind of started with you just doing email.
So it started with him doing ads. And then he had hired somebody else to do ads. And then we had another co-founder. And so like they're maybe like 4 or 5 of them are doing ads at one point in the beginning, and I'm doing email. And then we brought in a designer. And then it was kind of like you just hire, like when you're bootstrapping an agency, you hire where there's demand. And I like, then, like I think I maybe hired one other person to do email with me. And then we brought in somebody to do like Google ads. So like we had one person there, and then that team started to grow. And then there was a desire for content. Like, can you shoot my like photo assets, my video assets, like all this stuff. So then we like ended up spinning up a content studio in Utah. So right now, the way that the agency sits, I kind of think about it in like, I guess like 5 different parts. You've got like the search team, the paid social team, the like CRM retention team, the web dev team, and then satellite, which is content studio.
We have a very similar structure, minus like creative and web dev. Instead of like bringing it in-house, we just we have like partners, and we just say like, we'll connect you directly with partners. So like white labeling it.
Yeah.
Because those, all those things are in demand. And we found the same thing where, at first we were like, we don't want to be a jack of all trades. We want to specialize. But the problem is, no matter how good you are at the specialization, you need the complementary services to like to thrive and do well. So
you are so much more sticky when somebody is doing multiple of your services, because then it's like a pain to rip you out. So like when a competitor comes in and they try to undercut you for like, $1,000 a month on like this one service, it's like, okay, well, like now I got to go find somebody to go do all these other things. And like, it's not worth it.
There's a lot of competitors in this space. Like, like agency galore and e-commerce, D2C.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
and clients bounce around sometimes. Like, it's not like, it's funny. Like sometimes you got a client that's like, I just want to get to know my agency and I don't want to move. And like those clients are awesome. And we've got clients that have been with us, for 3, probably some that have been with us for all 4 years. Yeah, since the beginning. Awesome. I think about like my original like founding brands, and like a lot of them are still here, which is really cool. And then you have brands where like they don't work with you, and then they go to another agency, and they go to another agency, and then they come back, and then they like bounce around because they like are constantly chasing that like somebody can do it better.
And like unrealistic expectations. So
yeah.
Like we want a 5 ROAS at $1 million a month instead.
Right. And they're at a 1 right now. And they're like, so can you just make it a 5 tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuck no. No chance. Yeah. How'd you, I was on the site, like how'd you guys get all these like big brands to work with you guys too? Because like there's a lot of massive agencies that have a lot of pull with a whole bunch of big sales teams and networks and everything. You guys are you're not new, but like newer relative to like some of these other players. How you work with like, I saw like bodybuilder.com, something like that, like some of like the larger like D2C brands, Super Coffee, like big brands, you know what I mean? How'd you guys do that, Are you guys like B2B sales experts in some sense? Like,
no, we didn't have a sales team until about 6 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was all word of mouth and network. So yeah, we kind of started with our first couple of brands. We were fortunate enough. So Pearson is a serial entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur his whole life. Started his first company he was 15. And then throughout college had a apparel business and made just like kind of a lot of connections to that. So when we first started, actually, we were pretty heavily weighted in apparel because that's where all his connections were. Like apparel and gyms was where we worked with a ton out the gate. And then
like gyms isn't like literally body like physical.
Yeah. Like
so
physical
not like
gyms locations. No, like doing
Alex
like
Hormozi
ads.
type of stuff.
Yeah, like doing ads for gym. Like yes, just because like we belonged to like a gym, and then that gym introduced us to another gym, and like it was just networking. We were kind of like take whatever we can get in the beginning, and then we just did like our tagline is "Do good work, don't sleep," which in recent times is a little bit controversial. But
why is it controversial?
People are like, oh my God, work-life balance. Like, what do you mean you don't sleep?
Because people are soft.
Yeah,
people are soft. Yeah. After COVID.
Right. Yeah. Or it's like, just do good work. Just do good work and then you can go to bed. But so we did really good work. Yeah. And then that kind of like just spread. And so we got lucky with the first of these couple ones where they, chose us. I think that they liked that we were smaller, we were boutique. They knew that they would get the attention here and they wouldn't get one at one of these larger shops. So they chose to work with us and we did a really, really good job. I think we're all now drinking Olipop, but this was a great example of a brand that like they just launched eCom with us. Their first email, their first welcome series I remember doing.
And they're massive.
Now it's a huge brand, but it wasn't anywhere near the size it was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago when e-commerce launched.
And do you think the fact that you were close to New York, Manhattan area at that time helped with all this stuff? A lot of these brands are in New York. This is a New York brand type of thing. Is it right?
This is hub.
So they're not in New York. They're in California.
I think Brooklyn when I see Olipop. So that's
really?
Yeah, I just think Brooklyn. Yeah.
So no, honestly, I think that New York helped us attract the right talent. So we had a pretty strict policy of the schools that we would hire out of for our analyst classes. And we had a very not traditional approach to hiring for the agency, where we were pulling kids out of top Ivy League schools, 3.8 GPAs, double majors, typically in arts and some type of like finance or business. Athlete, like very, very strict.
Let me ask you a question on that. I'm going to push back on that though. So I went to I went to UC Berkeley. I got like 3.8, whatever. I don't believe any of that crap matters. Do you think it matters?
Now, I think that there are exceptions to every rule, but I think that when you're two 25-year-olds trying to like build an agency that we were and like attract top tier talent, and like that was kind of like our thing.
Gotcha.
Where we were like, and why people would work with us, we're like, because everybody like has those connotations. You know what I mean? Like they're like, 100%. Oh, like I want to work with the kid from Dartmouth over like the college I've never heard of before. So it was really helpful that we were young and that we were putting 22-year-olds on the phone with you. And we're like, but this 22-year-old
went to Harvard.
So like this.
He's legit.
Right.
Sounds like Suits. You know?
Yeah, sounds like Suits.
TV show Suits.
Yeah, you're watching that right now. So
they only hire from Harvard.
From Harvard.
And then the best one of the firm ended up.
Yeah. Well, like realistically, like it doesn't really matter where the hell you went to school.
It doesn't. Yeah. But so I think it helped us.
You didn't even go to school. Like besides,
I went to Montclair State and I graduated with a 2.3. Like
no, 100%.
Pearson didn't graduate.
I did like engineering my freshman year and then transitioned to like pre-physical therapy my sophomore year to a different school. And then I was doing athletic. I wish I could go back and just do this.
I'll tell you the story with this. So I go to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever hear the brand called the burrito blanket? It's a blanket tortilla.
Yeah.
My roommate made that brand in college. I was like 18. He was like Shopify, ding, ding, ding. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I don't want to tell you. And I was like, dude, like you're making money on your phone. Like, this is crazy. He shows it to me somehow. I come home one summer and I'm like, all my buddies, I'm like, yo guys, like this is crazy. You buy $5 ads on Facebook. You make $10 on the Shopify thing. Like, let's figure this thing out.
Some bikinis.
He looks at me and he's like, you're just bullshit. Like, screw you. Like I'm playing D1 track. Like, I don't care.
I was like, what I'll look into it.
I was like, all right, no problem. I come back that next summer. Kyle's like, oh, I just dropped out of college. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yo, I just did like $250,000 a month. Like, this e-commerce thing is real.
Some light boxes.
So he just like kept going. He got up to like, I think 1.8 in a month type of thing on some stores.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa, like this is real. But then you realize that like this whole college thing doesn't even like do anything. Like I was telling kids, my friends in college, like, yeah, but like I'm going to work at a bank or like I'm going to go work
I'm going to make $200K a year at a bank. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Kyle's like, yeah. You know what I mean?
So I go back and forth on it. So when you're the actual entrepreneur, I don't think it does a ton for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, when you got to put somebody on and they got to put PowerPoints together and they went through a master's program at one of these top tier schools.
They're good at making PowerPoints.
They're really good at putting together a presentation and,
100%.
and presenting to a client versus somebody else who didn't go through that.
That's true too. Cause like we also have like rough edges when like we are presenting to little,
right. And it's different. And you can be rough when you're the founder. You cannot be rough when you're the associate. The associate has to be polished. Yeah. Like they have to be very well put together. So like people forgive it when you are like this visionary founder type of person. So when you're trying to scale an agency and you're trying to 50 employees and you have 22, 23, 24-year-old max interacting with clients, doing a lot of this work, they're very capable, but like it helps when you can just be like, but this person's legit.
Yeah.
So.
I'm surprised we even they pulled it here, but I was honestly curious about that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they want to live in New York. Like after school, most of them are like, we want, like, that's our dream. Like, like I want to live in New York. So that's why we were like, we're going to put the office. West Village, we're going to make the hub here. And my business partner, Pearson, was like, cool. So cool. So you're going to live in New York. I'm going to live in Park City.
Oh, in Utah.
And you're going to run the office.
Oh, so you both don't even like work together in the same office?
No.
Damn.
So he lives in Park City, Utah. We're both big. Well, he's a big skier. I'm a big snowboarder. So it is nice though, because I get to pop out there like quite a bit. I always have a place to stay. So it's been a pretty awesome balance. Because I do like New York. Like I wouldn't want to live out there full time. I like living here, but it's been cool to kind of be in tune. And he spends time here, so we get to work together a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
What's up, New Money Talks fam? Quick one for our sponsors over at AdCopy AI. Tony Mastalone and his team have produced one of the most revolutionary marketing tools to date called AdCopy AI. And what it does is essentially harnesses the power of AI in order to lead your acquisition systems and strategies for your marketing efforts, right? So whether you're selling physical products or digital products, it is much more tailored and targeted for marketers relative to something like a ChatGPT. And I want to really quickly show you how it works. So let's say my buddy's company, Javi Coffee, he wants me to run ads for his brands and populate ad copy, what I would do is I would come over to the ad copy AI Chrome extension. I'd click create Facebook copy and I'd provide some inputs, right? So this is the input category. So this is going to be javicoffee.com. Target audience are going to be young Starbucks addicts. And then, you can also have selling points populate directly from the product URL. And they have something called a creativity amplifier, which is really unique. So the more creative you make it, the more kind of obviously creativity they can pull into the copy. It might not be incredibly accurate for what it is that you're going to be selling. And so you have to kind of play around with the creativity amplifier, right? So if you make this very low, it's going to be a very cookie cutter response depending on your inputs, right? So it might be like regurgitated, but when you have the creativity amplifier up, it gets very, very creative and it can spit out some really cool outputs, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on generate Facebook ad copy, and we're going to let ad copy AI do its magic. Boom. So we have elevate your coffee experience. Tired of the same old Starbucks routine? Meet Javi Coffee, your new coffee obsession. Crafted for true coffee lovers, our premium microdose coffee concentrate packs a punch of flavor and energy in every drop. This is so good. This is something way better than what I could do. Honestly, what any other human could likely do. And it generated that in seconds. And pretty soon they're going to have an update that directly imports this into your Facebook ads manager. So you don't even have to leave the platform, right? So shout out to Tony and the team over at Ad Copy AI. Definitely check out the link in our description if you're interested in getting this for you, for your brand, or for your agency. And make sure that you tell Tony or you tell the Ad Copy team that New Money Talks sent you so you can get that New Money Talks discount. Now back to the podcast.
Slack, a lot of Zooms and Google Meets. And
we spend a lot of time on the phone.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Yeah, it's always tough with the virtual stuff. Like I know you were saying before, like when COVID was done, you were like, I have to get an office. Like we have to get a nice office. People here, like we're hearing people all here, like people like this. Like this is how you like build teams and do good work and stuff like that to community.
It's I think much more important with younger kids. So I've noticed it because I have the two different companies now. So I've got Stay. The profile is much older. I would say our average age at Stay is maybe 30, maybe older, honestly.
Which is still young. But
it's still young. But relative to this, where like the average age is like 24, 25, where I think that it's very important when you're in the very first years of like your career and you kind of you don't know your skill perfect yet, to be getting that mentorship and that guidance in person, especially for like what these guys are doing. And like, they also love it. Like the analyst class, they're all like friends. Like they all kind of onboard together in the same time. There's usually like a group of like 8 to 10 of them that we all bring in together. And you kind of like are bonded through that. It's just a different approach.
It's like banking, but an agency.
Exactly. So that was kind of the exact, like we recruited in line with all the major banks from those schools in order to kind of compete with that type of talent and then bring it in. So again, it was just a really not traditional approach to how to build an agency.
Because the talent's the most important. Like the people are the one makes the agency work. It's like you can't go on every single like client call, right? So you have to like trust that these people can actually like be a piece of you on these calls. You know what I mean? I'm always sure of that too. It's like, hey, if you're interfacing with a client, it's like, what are they going to say? Are they polished properly? All these type of things, and like, that's how you figured it out.
That's one thing we're trying to do is outsource like sales calls, discovery calls, all that stuff, because that's like, when your pipeline's full and you and your co-founder are doing it and like now no one's on delivery or operations and like you're getting taken away from the business, it's tough finding someone who can speak as though you would speak, because you can record a call and be like, try to do what I do, but you're going to go through 10, 20 people before you find that person, if not more.
It's so hard. And like at the end of the day, like no one is ever going to be Pearson or I on the calls. And like, I think the agency is even harder because like, you never know what combo people want. So like, does somebody want ads and web? Do they want email and search? Do they want and all these different things? So you have to know or have a combination of people on the line that can speak to all these different things. And like, it's so hard to find somebody in that type of role. It's been easier to train and hire on the technology side of things over at Stay. I wouldn't say easy, but easier than the agency.
For me, transition to Stay, I'm curious with that too, because like that came out of crazy. And you just changed the name too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay's the second company she owns, 2 at the same exact time. Like
2 at the same time. I am like pretty removed from the agency. So I'm down to like an hour a week. Advising on the agency side.
So who runs it? Like,
we're 5 years old. We have a pretty good leadership team here. All of the teams have their directors.
Like a CEO in place too?
So Pearson is still the CEO of the agency.
Okay.
So Stay really is, I mean, again, we work on everything together, but we play off each other really nice. I think like we're very well-balanced co-founders. It was like kind of my baby, Stay, where I was like, this is like what I've always wanted to do. Like I love the retention space. Like I knew that I wanted to build tech in the retention space in the Shopify ecosystem, but I just like for like 2 years and I didn't know what it was going to be.
So give the pitch of what Stay is, because for people to know. Get the hell off of Recharge. You can use this thing right now. Listen up.
So Stay, the platform that it is, and I talk about like what it will be all the time, but Stay, the platform that it is today, we are a app that helps brands process their subscriptions, but really kind of turning subscription into a performance channel. So I think that the way that people fundamentally thought about subscription was broken. I think that people thought about it as like, okay, get people on subscription and then like don't contact them so that way they don't cancel, and like do things to prevent them from cancel. But they weren't thinking about it as like, this should almost be like a loyalty program. And that we are now focusing so much on retention marketing. The way that I built Stay is really with like the marketer in the driver's seat, is that the marketer should be it's a platform built for marketers. They should be going in there, and there's the ability to A/B test. So you can A/B test if we do a free gift on order number 2, is that person more likely to get to that second order if you do an upsell for people who have this, if you do.
And do you need like development skills to do all this?
No.
Because like Recharge is like, you have to need a lot of.
So that's why I say we built it for marketers. So we made everything very out of the box. So that way, like once you're set up, the marketing team fully owns it. They want to swap out banners in the portal. They want to run different tests and promotions. They want to do different upsells, one-time products to get people to add them. They want to run different things in Klaviyo. So you're able to do all of that stuff and just kind of like put the marketer in the driver's seat.
Yeah. So this is like this is a new thing, Shopify app and everything, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys integrate with?
So right now we're exclusively in the Shopify ecosystem. I get this question a lot, like when will you leave the Shopify ecosystem? Will you ever leave the Shopify?
Are there a lot of brands that are like on the WooCommerce, Magento, all this type of stuff? People do that still?
Yeah, people do. I mean, the market is massive, but for us, like the market's so big inside Shopify, and I think that it's where we have so much traction now, and it's like where people are kind of trying to play and get really creative, and I'm really like familiar with it. So we're going to stay in Shopify until we've outgrown it, which maybe we never will.
100%. Why'd you change the name?
So the original name came from, so we've done a lot of different apps. I think like that's something that probably we don't talk about enough, but this is actually our 4th app that we've done. So we did an app called No Commerce that spun out of Lunar Solar Group. So Jeremiah, who's the founder and CEO there, actually was at Lunar Solar Group, and then was like, we've got this idea, like, can we do this? And we were kind of like, this is a great idea. Yes, like you and Taylor should go build this. And so they kind of built it. We funded it through Lunar Solar, and then when we saw the opportunity to spin it out and sell it, we did. And so then we did a couple other like smaller apps. We helped fund this other app that's still in market. We exited our position in it, but they're still doing well. And then we did a 3rd app that was a like carbon neutral, like at checkout thing that Shopify ended up just building native. So we were like, if it's a feature, like it's not a platform.
Well, that was always my thought too with Shopify. Why haven't they built like a subscription just integration that they run themselves? Why haven't they done that?
Yeah. It's again, another question that comes up a ton, especially in fundraising. Like, is Shopify just going to build this? And I think what we've done is we've really taken it outside of the norm. Like you see the type of app, like you see what Shopify builds native. Shopify doesn't build A/B testing in their native tools. They don't build these marketing.
They don't build anything lately though, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Just take a percentage of everyone else's.
I don't know. I think that I've been listening a lot to kind of their C-suite talk about what they're building and like what's on their roadmap. And like they really are trying to make it easier for the bulk of their stores. And the bulk of their stores actually aren't doing subscription while the market is massive for it. And there's a ton. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest vertical in Shopify is fashion and apparel. And that's just like not a very popular, like, like, what do you put? Like, yeah, there's a couple like t-shirts or underwear on subscription, but like for the most part, it's repeat purchases, which is like, very interesting.
I'm curious, like, how Amazon has like Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Can you guys like make that on a store with what you guys do? Because like that was like a big thing that was happening like the dropshipping world. It was called like MRR. Have you ever like heard of that type of thing? Like you heard about monthly revenue,
right?
And pretty much what they would do is like they would sell you a product really, really cheap up front with like a subscription on the back end.
Oh yeah.
And the subscription was like, hey, you get access to like a cheaper version of like
more
products,
like memberships,
like a membership,
Exclusive products,
which like it's like a subscription functionality type of thing, but like there's really no person on the App Store that does that. Like you guys do that?
So there is an app that's newer that does that does memberships. Yeah. So we integrate with them.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah. So it's we're building out a couple pieces of it now.
Because like clothing wise, I'm thinking like Fabletics is like a killer with this type of stuff.
All the Ty Lopez brands.
Like Ty Lopez has like Radio Shack that does it. Like Modell's does it.
Things.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you guys have built that, but maybe something you guys were thinking about.
Yeah. So it's all these things seem very simple at the surface level, and it's like
difficult as hell to
we get those questions all the time. Like, well, why don't you just like build that? And it's like, well, I mean, it took us, like $6 million to build the subscription piece.
When one of your clients are like, hey, why don't you build this? What's your response to that? Because I get asked, because we built our own like WMS, like custom. We have a Shopify app and everything. It took us like 3 years and it's still like not perfect. And they're like, hey, can you just like add this one thing? And I'm like, guys, and in a week they're like, hey, why don't you add it yet? And I'm like, you understand how this works,
you want to pay
right?
$100,000?
Yeah, you want to pay the $100,000 to the developer to do this? Like, what do you tell people when they ask you these questions? Especially when they're big clients.
So it depends on the question. There was a feature that we make fun of a lot. I think of every single podcast I've been on, they've asked me about it. Oh my God. And it comes with customers asking. Like one day I'm just going to get absolutely owned because like a customer is going to be like, were you talking shit about me? And I'm going to be like, yes. But the customers.
Don't call Gina. Gina will go crazy on you.
Customers all the time, they'll be like, so, okay, we've got a fascinating idea. Do you have a feature that would make it cheaper every month?
Wait,
and I'm like,
make the cost of it cheaper?
Make the product cheaper every month. And I'm like, so, no.
Wait, so they're asking you to add something to make it cheaper?
Yeah, they want us to build a feature that makes the cost of the product cheaper every month because they think that will help with retention.
For subscribers, let's say they pay $30.
Oh, I thought you meant like...
Yeah, the next month they pay 29, 28, 27, 26. Yeah, until eventually the margins are so eroded that it doesn't make sense to keep the loyal subscribers. Yeah, no, that is the feature.
That makes mathematical sense over time.
Eventually it's to zero. Yeah. Right? Like,
correct.
Yeah.
So like for that, I'm just like... We will not be building.
I didn't go to Harvard, but I could do the math.
Right. The math does not math.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we won't be building that one. But other times, sometimes people have good ideas, or sometimes people have like an idea, and I'm like, oh, I think what happens a lot is people ask for a very specific feature, and a lot of times I push back, and I'm like, what are you trying to achieve with that? Like, why do you want that? And then when they kind of like pull it back, and they're like, oh, because I'm trying to do this, it's like, okay, here's a better way to do that, or like we're building something like to get you there. So I'm very big on like when somebody asks for something, I'm like, why do you want that? Because sometimes like what the customers think they want won't actually get them the goal that they're chasing.
So you have to ask that why to really like peel back the onion and really figure out what the hell they want.
Yeah. I learned that on the agency side because customers would constantly be like, can you build us a flow like this? And I'd be like, why do you want that? And they're like, this. And it's like, so we would actually do this to get you that.
And they're like, oh. And you're like, well, that's why you're paying me the big bucks.
Exactly.
This thing. That's crazy. Question, how much do you guys charge a month for it? Like the app?
So,
because it's not cheap. I think it's like not.
App is not cheap. We are not for SMBs. And like, I think that's another question I get asked all the time is like, oh my God, like when are you going to do a cheaper version? And for a long time we were. So if anybody's hearing this and I told you we were doing a cheaper version, I am sorry. We're not doing that anytime soon. We are a tool and our sweet spot is mid-market and enterprise.
So like Shopify Plus.
Yeah. Like if you are not processing at least like $200K in monthly subscription revenue, you are just not going to see the return on our tools. And with the way that we're built and the way that our platform is structured, the margins don't work for us to work with.
So pretty much like you say, like small brands, if they use you, they'd be like, this doesn't do anything for me.
The lift, like, you know what I mean? Like we provide, a 20 to 30% lift, but like we're so expensive that if you're only doing 10K month in subscription revenue, 20%, an extra $2,000, but you're paying us $5 plus the percentage fee. And then like, even though, I mean, it's 2%, like, or like a 2X, like, so maybe it works for you, but I think that's where we're getting pushback where like that store, like that $500 base fee, they're like, well, there's free apps out there without a base fee where it's like less of a transaction fee. And like, well, that's probably a better fit for you. You don't need to do complex testing at that scale. Migrate to us once you're a bit bigger.
Is it not worth that whole massive market though of all these like Shopify stores?
Not for me.
Like if you just downgrade the product a little bit and then like
it's just not what I'm going after and what I'm interested in building. And I think like that's something I had to come to terms with is like we are not everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that companies that try to do that struggle And I know what we're really good at. And I know what and it's also about like, it's my fucking company. It's what I want to build. Like
100%.
I want to build tools.
I think we always come to that realization as well. It's like, we're trying to do so many things for the client, but it's like, it's our company. We can run it the way we want. Like, you know, however someone's teaching sales, we could do it however we want, however is most fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to build these tools that like help power meaningful differences. Like the Avi guys, like we got introduced through Ron.
Yeah.
They're on the app and like we were able to run these tests for them that significantly changed the way that they run their subscription program now. It was like total game changers.
Yeah, I saw Ash posted on Twitter something like, oh, my thing's like crazy.
They just hit their biggest subscription revenue day ever. Like they moved over about 6 months ago. Their reoccurring subscription revenue is about to hit like be double what it was.
That's because of you guys.
And yes, it's because of these tests that we were able to run. They were having sorry if they don't want me to talk about this, but they were having a churn issue on the second order.
He's been on the pod already.
So we're good. Yeah, I mean, we published a case study about it. He's fine. But they had really high churn on the second order. They were getting a lot of people that were coming in from the site. They were buying on subscription to save the original 15%, and they were churning out before they got to the second order. And so we implemented an A/B test to see if we told customers that a gift was coming in the second order, if they would be less likely to cancel.
And it made a difference?
80% difference.
Share that sauce with the people. So like, if you give a gift on the second purchase.
If you give anything on the second, like even Phil was saying, Phil Rivers, the Clavio King, he was saying that what he does is he offers, like he did a lot of split testing where you offer the discount on the second order.
Yes.
And like that's so, you don't think about that. You're like, oh, here's the discount on the first order, but it's like, but then it doesn't guarantee a second order.
I'm going to tell you some sauce that I saw in a store. Like if he watches this, he knows exactly who he is. So like it's a consumable product. I'll tell you the brand after this. Pretty much the main offer is like to a subscription, but then the second offer is like, if you don't get subscription, you buy like one-time offer, right? So I bought it because I wanted to see what the hell he did. So you bought it one time, no subscription. You get to the checkout and like post-purchase after you buy everything, it's like, hey, want to have a $0 subscription? And then it's just like, oh, bet it's just $0. So then boom, next thing you know, you're a subscriber. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, boom,
it's free.
It's a free subscription. So think about you just bought the product, right? And you didn't pick subscription, obviously.
Like subscribe for free.
Because you want to subscribe. So you just bought it one time and you get to post-purchase, like after the credit card, everything. And he's like, hey, you want to subscribe? Now it's free. And then,
oh my God. So it's like a $0 product that then goes into a workflow and flips to a full-size product. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is...
It's just positioning.
It's literally...
I would love to see if he's having any issues processing on
I'll
Stripe.
put you
If
in
he's getting
flagged. If you need another processor, I got you.
Yeah.
Dalen, if you're listening to this, you're my guy. That's besides the point. Well, actually, question: when you guys like do all processing, all this stuff, you guys use Stripe for all your stuff?
So we work off the Shopify card.
Oh, but like that's still Stripe technically.
Right. Yeah. So we push the orders through Shopify. So we actually are not the payment processor. So we're creating the orders in Shopify.
But like as your business in general, though, do you guys use Stripe for like processing and everything too?
So I mean, we get paid through Shopify.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, it's like pretty nice.
So it's just like within the ecosystem.
We don't have to go like collect revenue from people, which is awesome. Like the agency model, you guys know, like someone doesn't pay. Oh, well, like I'm going to pay you next week. Oh, like I never got the bill. It went to spam. You're like, you opened it 3 times.
Why you need ACH on file? ACH on file. ACH. I taught him that last week. I was like, you need ACH on file.
Yeah.
Except when they have Silicon Valley Bank and you bill and then it gets declined. It happened to me like 3 times last week. You know who you are if you watch this. I love you though. Don't worry.
So yeah, I mean, so it's been nice that like going from an agency where like sometimes people don't pay or whatever, like we get paid with the Shopify bill. So like the only way you don't pay us is if you don't pay your Shopify bill. You don't pay your Shopify bill.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
So it's really nice that we don't have to run around.
That's cool though, because you decided I'd rather work with 100 huge brands than 10,000 small brands. And I'd much rather do that as well. Work with a lot bigger, like a smaller quantity of larger brands.
And the competition for the SMBs is crazy. Like there are so many apps out there that do the basic stuff.
Or anything, you know what I mean? Yeah, keep it to those free promos. No free promos on this one.
No. But yeah, so it's just kind of like that's we have brands all the time where they're like, oh, what would you do? Like, what if we do this thing? And it's kind of just like, look, like we will white glove migrate you when you're ready, type of thing. And I want to be the right fit for our customers. And I don't want you to move on and then be like, well, we don't get the right support or like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, we didn't build a customer service team to service that level.
How difficult is those migrations? Because like I've like other ones before, I didn't even know what StayAi was, honestly, before Ron introduced it, honestly makes a lot more sense to me now. Like these migrations are not easy, right? Like they're actually like a pain in the ass.
So if it's handled correctly,
So like you have the tokens and everything too.
Yes, and like
right?
they have varying levels of complication. So you have a store that's like already on, and we'll just use Recharge for example. They're already on new Recharge. They're already on this unified checkout. Much easier.
But if you're on the old Recharge,
if you're on the old, but you've only ever used Stripe, easy. You're on the old, but you've used Braintree, authorized.net.
Yeah.
Like your authorized.net payment tokens are like, tokenized through Spreedly, where like we can't authorize them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got people on Stripe, whatever, and like you've got all these, and then half the people are somehow on Shopify because you migrated over. And it's like now you're trying to work with all the different scripts and move everything over and convert all those different payment tokens. And like you always run into some type of issue where like payment tokens are locked up and you need to get another export. Fortunately, we've never had anything like where it's lost. It's just kind of more of a pain in the ass.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's just like you need a team that's incredibly attentive. We're very like good about like migrate. Like we have like nobody is ever working on 2 migrations at once. Like our like teams, like we have enough people on all the teams where like it's scheduled out. Because you need to pay attention to all those little things. As much as like 99% of the time nothing goes wrong, and then 1% you're like, why were there errors?
100%. You also said that you raised like $7 million for this thing.
Yeah.
We actually haven't had anyone here like talk about like how they raise money. I'm curious, like, what is your process of raising money? I've actually raised a few $100,000 when I was in college. Like, obviously not millions, but like, it's probably a little different what the hell you're doing. Is it more like network? Are you actually going in front of funds? Are these like angels? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, how do you do it first, for example?
Yeah. So we've raised primarily from funds.
Okay.
I have not raised from angels. I think it's kind of like the SMB model where like you have to talk to so many angels. And then like this person who writes the 5K check is always the one who checks in on you the most. So we have raised, and I think also just like our model and our network, because we had Lunar Solar, because of our backgrounds, we knew so many of the consumer VCs. And then I was like, okay, well, if we raise from consumer, their portcos are our clients. So like that kind of makes sense. We might be a little outside of their of their ideal, but they get what we're doing and we didn't have to go explain it to them. Like when you're raising from tech VCs, you have to just be like, one, do you believe in Shopify?
Honestly, for them though, like aren't you like a golden ticket? Because like they're investing like these like the mattress company or whatever, like the shoes companies like that are like going from like, I don't know, $1 billion to like 100 million. Like you're a tech play now, like you're different multiples, etc. Like they probably love that you're approaching them.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we raised from 7, like pretty top tier consumer funds. So like that process, I did on like the idea, I raised 1.5 at 8, and then 2 at 20, and then 2.5 at 35, or I guess 3 at 35.
Jeez. And like, are you trying to raise more after this too?
Yeah. So I am raising right now.
Actually.
Yeah. So we've raised quite a bit of capital. I mean, we said it when we went to market. We were like, we're going to go to market and we are going to fucking light money on fire, and we're going to build a massive engineering team, and we're going to come with a stable, like the best product in market within a year. And that's what we set out to do. So like a year in, we hit about 3 million in ARR, over 100 merchants on the platform, and 0 churn.
So then, stupid question right now. If you're making 3 million ARR, why do you have to raise money?
So, 3 million ARR run rate is very different.
So you haven't actually made 3 million.
Right. Very different.
So you're doing like 300 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Okay.
A little less, but yeah. So,
sorry if we can't be sharing that.
No. It's like, I mean, so that was like in our pitch deck. So we're much higher now, but that was what we went to market with when we'd hit the 1 year mark. So I was like pretty open about those stats of kind of where we were. It's not where we're at right now, fortunately.
But like with like a Shopify app and everything, like your overhead's what, like developers and stuff?
Yeah. So we've got a 20-person, I mean, we're a 40-person company. We've got a 20-person engineering team, and I've been carrying that team for the last 8 months.
No offense, but you don't look like a coder to me, right? So like who does all this, like managing of 40 engineers and everything?
I'm probably more technical than you would think.
No, sorry.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I am not coding. I'm not our CTO. Our CTO is Taylor. We've worked with Taylor for like the last 5 years. Taylor's worked with us at the agency. Taylor built out what was originally Retection. Oh, we somehow got sidetracked on why I changed the name.
It's all good. This is good. Keep it going. Yeah.
Taylor built out V1 of Retection, which was a totally different app that I then just canned because I didn't want to do it. And then so he's our founding CTO. So Taylor runs the engineering team, and built out that team.
So that's where all the money goes. Like when you say I need to raise all this money, it's like it's people.
Yeah, it's all people really. When you look at our models and kind of like what we want to spend, like I believe that like it's important to build really solid software. And like, you need the product to work. And that sounds so dumb. And like, it sounds like table stakes, but like we hear about these just like nightmares that happen with some of these other new entrances where like, just because like they didn't do it right, or they tried to take a shortcut and they custom coded this like one thing for one brand instead of building it into the product at scale and having it go through like a, pretty rigorous QA process. And like, I just don't believe in that because I know how risky it is.
100%. Yeah, you're playing a whole different game now with the tech. Yeah.
I built a product research software in 2020. I don't even know if you can call it a software, but we've probably put like 20 grand into it over literally 3 years. And we still have like, we launched it as like a beta group, we got like 30 or 40 users in. And then we've been relaunching it over the past like 3-4 months, but it's just like, developing a software, however intuitive it is ridiculously complicated. And I can't say too much on who our developers are, but they've worked with like very big companies. Like I'll tell you after, but they've worked, and I just found this out. They've worked with very, very big companies, and like they're still a pain in the ass to work with.
So the one thing I found out on the engineering side of things, and like this probably will come back to haunt me, sometimes, and like there are exceptions to every rule, but like the dude who spent 2 years at Facebook probably only worked 10 to 20 hours a week. He is not going to be the person that you want to come run a smaller, scrappy startup team. It's a very different profile.
Interesting.
Is like the guy who spent 10 years at Amazon is not going to be the scrappy, like
he's
technical,
a family,
like
kids,
right.
The whole
it is very different. And yeah, I've learned that just through kind of cycling through people is that like, it's hard to pick like the right, like engineers are just not, the resume is just not typically it. Like it's really about once they get in, and I'm just like really fortunate that Taylor was able to do such a good job kind of building out that team. And like, we just had, I'm going to like say this, but like we've had really low churn on that team. So it's been like this group of like these 20 guys that are, and girls, there are girls on the development team, not a lot, but there's one. And like, they've just been jamming together for like the last 8 months, like absolutely, some of them, for the last year and a half, but.
No, engineers are definitely a beast in themselves. Like one of my really good friends in college, his name is Joel. He works at a startup called connect.ai. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They do like, it's kind of like Attentive, but on WhatsApp.
Oh,
so it's like international version of that. I think like one of like the early guys at Messenger at Facebook started it. And like they just like a whole bunch of stuff. And like I was connected to them and I was like, hey, Joel, you should work there. Pretty much my friend Joel, genius, like literally genius, like next level. We started a company when we were like 19 together. He built out a whole like machine learning model AI stuff with like Google's algorithms, blah, blah, blah. We're pretty much taking Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter data and predicting people's personalities. So like running like ML on top of it and like natural language processing, all this type of stuff. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but literally like special guy. Like he would just sit there, code, chew a whole pack of gum in a day and juggle at the same time. And the guy was but he'd build crazy stuff. Next thing you know, like the company went under. He got a job at NASA, like right out of this. Boom. She finished at NASA. And then like these guys were looking for an engineer. And I'm like, well, I know Joel, like 2 seconds. He's like the CTO was like, yo, this kid's like better than me.
Does Joel want to come work for me?
Honestly, I'm like, no, he lives in, I think he lives in the city too.
Damn.
Like I'll connect you. Like Joel's like, you'll like him.
Yeah.
He's like hard to talk to, but once you get him, he's like in it.
That's a smart concept. The WhatsApp, is that more for?
It's like, it's like Vasi like connected.ai, that one. Yeah. He's like, the thing with the tech startups, like you get it, you probably get it too. Like they get locked in because it's like, hey, here's your equity, 4-year vesting.
Right, yeah.
Like here's like 250K, 300K, like, and he's like, oh, and then like they keep promising him like, oh, well, we're raising our next round, so like your equity's worth like X, and then like it's like really convince these people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I've had other buddies like Peas, for example. We're having another buddy of mine has a Web3 like startup, kind of Plaid. It's like Plaid is like the payment connectivity thing. So like,
like when you log in,
it's like when you log into the Chase Bank or something, like auto auths or whatever. Yeah. So they started that, but for Web3. So you can like connect like your Chase to like your Coinbase to like everything together.
Okay, cool.
And he wanted Joel to work there. And I'm like, hey, group chat, figure it out. And Joel's like, nah, like, and they raised like 4 or 5 million.
Yeah.
And like the kid's smart and everything. And he's just like, no, like I'm locked in. So like, I'll connect you. You gotta do what you gotta do. But like engineers, like if you find like diamonds in the rough, these guys just like, and they love it. It's like, there's no like 9 to 5. Yeah. It's like I'm locked in until 4 a.m.
5 to
as long as the office is open, like I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? And like, give me snacks. That's like, they love the snacks.
Some of like the most fun nights. And I think that like, this is why you need the right crew. Like when you're building is like.
What's up, New Money Talks fam? We just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Scale Brands. This is a self-plug because this is my direct consumer marketing agency where we help D2C brands grow through paid advertising and brand growth consulting. And I can confidently say that we are among the best at what we do because I've actually built my own brands to upwards of $1.7 million a month. I've built multiple brands to multi 6 figures per month as well. Very, very profitably, might I add. And we are specialists at helping brands grow. So if you are an e-commerce brand and you are looking to streamline your ad creative acquisition, you're looking to grow your paid acquisitions channels, and you're looking to be able to implement systems and frameworks that are backed by over 8 figures in profitable ad spend and close to 9 figures in attributed direct consumer e-commerce revenue, then Scale Brands is the agency for you. So again, if you run an e-commerce brand or you know someone who runs a direct consumer e-commerce brand, send them over to scalebrands.com and make sure that you tell them that New Money Talks sent you so you can get that New Money Talks discount. Now back to the podcast.
Some of the most fun and like most memorable nights are the late ones. And like, we gotta be work-life balance friendly and everything, and people gotta go home, but
We don't believe that shit, don't worry.
yeah, I'm gonna get canceled one day.
This is like, this is New Money Talks. Like, most of the New Money.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like we did Ron's podcast at 9 p.m. in his basement at his house.
Like you guys were like, oh, like kind of mid-afternoon. I was like, could we do like 6?
Yeah, I was like, no problem.
Let's do like later in the
Literally,
day.
Ron was like, yo, my kid's crying. Like, I need to go to the office. I was like, dude, anytime you want, we'll just show up. He was like, all right, 9. I was like, bet, 9 o'clock it is. Like, yeah, like the late nights make it happen. And the weekends too sometimes.
Yeah. So what I was saying is like the late nights, like we're like, you're trying to problem solve real quick. And like the whole team's on the phone, like you're on video and like it's like 9 p.m. And like everyone is like, you can tell we're all like displaced because like nobody's like at their desks and like everyone's in a different place and they're just trying to kind of get it done. Like that's like the most exciting, like memorable shit. Like those are the moments like where you look back on it and like it's like thrilling. You're not like, oh fuck, like working late. You're like, everyone's trying to problem solve at the same time to like get something out. And God, I like think about that. I'm like, oh, I hope we don't like lose that as we scale and get really big. Cause like I love that stuff.
For sure. I have like a more personal question. You know, this one, How I Built This, that podcast,
Yeah.
They asked this question. Honestly, I never asked before on a podcast, but I think this is a good one. Like, do you think like, cause like, no offense to everyone else you've had on the podcast, you are honestly maybe like one of the most successful ones you've had on the podcast. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, you're young as hell, like 80 people company, like raised millions of dollars. Like, it's legit. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Like, from our conversation, do you think a lot of it's like skill, luck, a combo of both? Like what do you think actually like made you get to this point? And like, obviously you have a lot more you're going to do. I can just tell. Like, what do you think it is? I want to know for myself too.
So I think that any very competent person with the right idea can build a good company. I think that the reason that we did stay was because it was the first time. I think that in order to build a unicorn, you need an element of luck. And there's an element of timing that even if you have the best team in the world and the best idea and like the founders that execute ruthlessly, if you don't hit all the right pieces and the right timing, it won't happen. And with Stay, it was the first time that it really felt like, holy shit, we've had so many different startups. This could be the one. So I think that there's luck in everything. I think that like, we definitely worked really, really, really hard to get here. And like, we were absolutely ruthless in our execution. But I think that just like the market and timing had a lot to do with it as well.
100%.
I think there's luck in timing.
Right.
Because you never know when the perfect timing is.
You never know. You never know what competition's going to come up. You don't know what people are going to do. You don't know what's going to happen with the market. Like you just like all of these different things come in and like, yeah, like, do I wish that I was, raising this Series A that I'm going through now last year? Yeah, I do. I've had a million funds tell me, holy shit, if you're raising last year, it'd be raising at 4 times this valuation. You have 20 term sheets already. And I'm like, that's not helpful to me right now.
I have another question about the money raise. That's a great answer to the question, by the way. Thank you very much. Like, do you like really need the money though? Like actually, like do you need 40 engineers to like code this thing all day?
I think that there are multiple different ways that you could view the vision of what I want to build. And I want to build a flow retention platform. I don't want to just be subscription. I don't want to just do what everyone has done before. There's like, I think a lot more innovation that can happen in the space. And like that experience engine with the A/B testing, like we bought that to market. Nobody had ever done anything like that before. Like nobody was even doing a gift with purchase before we came into the market. And I feel like that was like one of like 30 ideas like that we have that like I know will make a huge difference. So yeah, do I need to build all those things in the next year? I don't need to, but I want to. And I think that there are different pricing models that we look at where we can turn on those features for additional fees, and some things will be built into the pricing model that we have right now, and some things will be additional. So they'll bring in additional revenue. So like they'll balance each other out. And like, so like, could I not raise more money and hit profitability? Yes. I would pull in a little bit more, just I wouldn't want to like downsize the team or anything like that. So like, could I pull in $500,000 and hit profitability by the end of this year and just be fine? Yeah, I can. But I am like kind of shooting for something and I want to do that.
No, 100%. Yeah. Like you said, it's your business. You know what you want with it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like, this is crazy. You got me going. Like, I want to like beer all day type of thing, but anyway, you can't do that. What do you got? Sorry. Kyle asked a question. I'm going to ask his favorite question. What's your morning routine?
I wake up, I go to work.
He does ice baths now. He bought an ice bath on his balcony.
I'm one of those guys.
On his balcony, follow him on Instagram after this. You'll see every single morning he does an ice bath.
In my defense, for the last like 8-9 months, I've been getting these very weird like migraines, like headaches.
Okay.
And for some reason, the only thing that helps is like temperature therapy, like cold therapy. So like cold exposure, like cold showers, everything cold. I'm now like obsessed with it. It sucks during, but after, like don't knock it till you try it, like type of thing.
So like we went to where did we
Arizona.
go? We went to Arizona, the two of us, for actually podcast for like 2-3 episodes with a whole bunch of eCom guys, and like one of them had it in their apartment, and they were like, try it. And I was like, fuck it. It feels crazy, but when you come out, it feels good. So you should maybe try it. But like,
it's
like business. It sucks while you're building and you're in the trenches, but after you look back, you're like, I'm glad I did those long nights, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, I wake up at like 10 o'clock.
So my alarm goes off at like 7:50. I fall back asleep. And then I wake up at like 8:15. I check my email first. Like people are like, oh, I don't go on my phone for the first 30 minutes. Like, absolutely not. I immediately check my email. I want to just know what I'm going to have to deal with that day. And if there's anything that I should process kind of like while I'm getting ready. Yeah. So if there's anything that needs immediate attention, I will like fire off a couple quick Slacks and be like, we need to deal with this. Most days, like there's nothing urgent. Then I'll scroll TikTok. I will scroll Instagram. And then I'll get up, take a shower, do my makeup, look presentable, get dressed, and make my way to the office. And I usually get to the office right in time for like my 9:30 call.
What's a 9:30 call?
I meet with Taylor every morning, my CTO.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I gotta start doing daily meetings. Actually, if I did daily meetings with Mike, there would be 3-hour calls every single day.
We keep it, it's like 15 minutes. We just kind of touch base. Okay, cool. Like what happened yesterday? What did we push? What are we pushing today? Like, are there any fires? Is there anything that we like still
Is
like?
Taylor not in this office?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Florida.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, so that's a remote team too.
Stay is fully remote.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 40 fully remote.
Jeez.
All up and down the east. Some couple people out west, mostly up and down the east.
So it's all just Slack.
Yeah. Slack, a lot of video calls. I'm on video all day long.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do it in this office. This is like the Lunar Solar
I work
office.
from home 2 days a week.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
I'm curious also, like, how you guys getting brands to sign up for this? Like, because like there's a lot of competition. Everyone's on Recharge. Like, there's all these like names and stuff. Like, what are you guys marketing at all? Like, what are you doing?
So we have a full go-to-market team, team about 8. So it's split up between like our traditional go-to-market, which is like our account executives. They're doing everything from cold calling, cold emails, like that type of outbound function. Then we have a partnerships team, which is working with agencies and tech partners. And then we have a content marketing team. And they're the ones kind of pushing out like the content on LinkedIn, the case studies, like all of that. And then you've got some founder-led sales, which is just Pearson and I. Again, we've been in this industry for so long. We've got the agency. Agency is a really good flywheel.
Yeah.
And then also like we've got a lot of other friends that have agencies. So just kind of us.
Just kind of like Iman, right? Similar concept. You know Iman Ghazi? Damn, this world is crazy. So like, look,
it's so big, but like it feels so small.
But it's
like,
weird. No, it's weird because like this podcast.
Wait, maybe I do know.
We're trying to bridge the gap between like this D2C, like this is like D2C world, like Olipop, like obvious D2C world, and then there's like this like whole like performance marketing, drop shipping, e-commerce world.
I'm not in the drop shipping.
Yeah. No, but and we're like trying to bridge it in the middle because like a lot of the guys have so much skill in that space, but they have no clue about like how do I make
how to use it to
like how do I make a can with this logo with branding and like get it in a store? Like they have no clue. But if you're like, hey, give me like a 3 ROAS somewhere, like they'll do that. You know what I mean?
Like there's people that run brands like this that like relative to some high level drop shippers, they actually don't know what they're doing.
But they raise like $3 million and they have no clue.
And they just try to like hire out and bring in talent. But like there's guys that build like dropshipping businesses to like $1 million, $2 million a month. And if you partnered them up with a brand that had a really good like product inception idea, they would do $5 million a month, you know?
I think that finding the right co-founder is so like underrated.
100%.
And I don't think I realized it until we started reading more books and understanding kind of like the dynamics. And like really with Kirsten and I, like you see it so much. Like we just have the right dynamic where we're both very good at like opposite things. And like, it's almost like we fight and argue so much that when we like decide on something, we know that it's the right choice because like it has like the kind of two different extremes. So yeah, I mean, like I like matching people up like that. Like I just think there's so much like in like that element of timing and luck and like whatnot, just having the right partner is so important.
Yeah, for sure. No, like you should like back to Iman. Iman's like he's a big YouTuber. He has like 2 million subscribers on YouTube. He pretty much like was in e-commerce dropshipping world and started an agency. Then started an agency on how to build an agency. And then he built a thing called Agency Flow, which is pretty much like a software for agency owners. So now he just pumps everybody literally into Agency Flow. Actually, yeah, you run an agency. It's like kind of just like, it's like Slack, Asana, and like a CRM all in one pretty much.
Interesting.
But it's like, he has like that same flywheel. It's like, I sold to all of these like clients as an agency. Now they're using my like SaaS
So
product.
it's a nice ecosystem.
But like really trying to like, for example, one of our biggest episodes is this guy named Dan Da Silva.
Right.
Like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Anyone in like this world has no clue who he is, but in the whole like dropshipping world, everyone
knows who he is.
He put everybody on.
Yeah.
Like if you ask anyone on YouTube, if you type in like dropshipping on YouTube, it's like there'll be a guy with 1 million subscribers like Dan Da Silva taught me how to dropship.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? But then like people in like the D2C world, like when I say D2C, like for example, Nick Sharma, he's like the Nick Sharma face. He's like the face of this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like Moise Ali, like native. He's the face. Those are like different. Like it's like a very big difference, and we're trying to like bridge that. It's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So I even think like there's a lot of opportunity in that type of world. Like first, I'll give you a good brand that does really good at this. You know Javi Coffee?
Yeah.
So like Justin, he's like 19, 20 years old. Maybe he's
22.
Justin, you're like 18.
He's like 19.
He is 14.
I met Justin when he was like 19, 18 years old. And I was like 3 years old. And I was like, this is crazy. But like, he's the perfect example. Like him and Brandon, his co-founder Brandon, they're like performance marketers to the max. Like they came with that dropship mentality, but then they build like these like beautiful looking brands on the backside. Yeah. You know, but they have like that like, if we get like 10,000 back orders, it doesn't matter because like our CPA is amazing right now. You know what I mean? But like,
very like scrappy, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But like a classic Brooklyn brand wouldn't do that. They'd be like, well, we don't have inventory, so like let's just turn this off. And like, we have to stop. And then you're like, well, my CPA is amazing right now. Like, why are you turning? It's like, well, we don't have inventory. It's like, well, just get back orders. Yeah. So it's like that weird thing.
Pre-orders.
Yeah, pre-orders. Call it whatever the hell you want to do it. But anyways, sorry, I wouldn't.
I mean, it's like high roast and triple whale. Like you have to serve kind of both markets. Like there's a lot of drop shippers on those platforms that are, you know, there's probably, you know, let's say there's like 10,000 drop shippers and like 1,000 really good brand owners. I mean, they make equal amounts of revenue and they learn as a software kind of equally from both, if not arguably more.
Actually, high roast and triple whale is a good example.
Yeah, that is.
They kind of bridge that gap because it doesn't matter like who you're selling to, how you're selling to them, how you're fulfilling to them. You're selling products. Everybody needs, you know, Facebook ads, KPIs. Yeah. So like,
because you'll never see triple whale on a YouTube ad being like Alex Becker, but like if you plug this into your store, you will have like a 10x ROI. Like triple whale would never do that. Yeah. Like Alex Becker did sold for 100 million. Yeah. It's like if you can find that gap, like Shopify, bridge that gap because they have all these dropper shippers and all these like massive brands.
But it's also kind of flooded. Like it's been so flooded with lower quality brands that it almost takes away from their integrity a little bit.
It does, Because
there's a lot of stores that like might not even ship out products like and that scam through that platform because it's so easy to set up a website, process payments, take money and run.
It's a different world, whatever.
It's a different world, but it exists.
It's nuts. It's nuts because like I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I'm so close but so far at the same time from anything like that.
100%. This was definitely a great episode.
Yeah. My question to you is for your software, what type of kickbacks you offer?
Oh yeah.
We're definitely gonna do
all that stuff.
Because you're talking to like the master referral connectors here.
Oh yeah, no. Well, let's get you guys a referral link.
Yeah,
yeah. We'll get you set up. We'll get you set up on Partner Stack. We'll get the referral link.
100%. No, this would be good.
Stack.
Yeah. This is my new favorite subscription app, by the way. Yeah. So make sure you add this one. This is definitely good. I think also where can people like find? I know you're big on Twitter. Like Twitter's your thing. So
Twitter, I think, is where I'm the most honest and genuine.
Honest and genuine.
Like that is like where I'm like my most just kind of like there's just like a lot of nonsense on there. Like I'll be like, what color should my nails be done? Like I just got like Chick-fil-A. It's the 7th time this week. Where like LinkedIn, I'm like, here's a more polished piece of content.
Yeah.
So I would
do you use
say,
Instagram at all, or like?
I'm on Instagram, but I keep Instagram private. Yeah, Instagram. Like, and sometimes I feel bad because it's like people that I kind of like fringe know. And I'm just like, I just like kind of want to keep this.
That's your life.
It's like my life. Like, you know, like my boyfriend's on there, like my parents, like where that to me like feels a little bit more intimate. Where I feel like I share enough on Twitter that if you like kind of want to follow what I'm up to, follow me on Twitter.
You're like a famous person on Twitter, kind of, right? Like
no, not at all. Not at all. I have like 3,000 followers.
There's like a whole cohort of like Ron type of thing, like Ash, like these guys, like
I
Nick,
don't
like,
do the threads, so I'm not as popular. But you know, if I start doing the threads, then I might be popular.
100%.
Yeah.
I like this.
I got a quick question. So like I know we've experienced this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't as much. But in terms of like, have you ever had like friends, family that you've tried to work into business, or who have asked you for a job? Or just like, we're like, can you like put me on to a business? Cause we come across this a lot and it's tough saying like no to a friend who's like, can you hire me or can you put me on to this? Like, I'm not doing that well financially. Like, how do you, I'm sure, you know, it sounds like just from your remarks, like you've dealt with that. Like, talk to me about that.
So, how do I approach this? It goes one way or the other. And I think that business and friendships, like it's very hard to like hire a best friend or a sibling because there is always going to want to be that personal connection. And if that person in some way, even if not directly reports into you, like it's very hard. Like if that person's going through something financially and they're like, well, I need a raise. And like, that is just two very different things. Or like if you're out drinking with someone and they bring up comp or they bring up a coworker, like you have to kind of immediately shut that shit down. And I think that is the hardest part, especially like for me, like I'm 30, I've been doing this for 5 years. So I think like 25 to 30, your friend group kind of changes. You start to shed a lot of like your college and high school friends, and you start to kind of build these like career friends. For me, a lot of my career friends are employees.
Yeah.
And that was like a learning curve for me where it wasn't just like family. It was just kind of like, where do you draw the line on like, can you go out drinking with these people? Can you invite them to your birthday party? Like, and like there, I have, but I have to be very like careful about it. I did, hire like she wasn't on my team, but like my cousin worked here for a bit and she was on a separate team. And I think like after that experience, like we kind of got to a point after a year where she was like, I'm going to work somewhere else. And like, I'm going to do this in a very, you know, you have 3 weeks notice and I'm going to like do this in a very peaceful. And I was like, that's the right way to exit it. But I could see how things could go bad quickly. So my advice would be really avoid it at all costs and just like tell people that you want to keep it professional. And like try to have a even when you're
you're going to laugh at this one. I fired my sister like 5 months ago.
But like sometimes you have to.
It was just a yelling match the whole time. Yeah. And it's my sister. So it's like, she's going to like, if I tell her like, go, she's like, screw yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She owes Joe some money actually right now. We forgot to take her off funny enough, we forgot to take her off Gusto. She got paid for like 3 months after that. And then she texted me, she was like, but she texted me, she's like, hey, like, I'm still getting like payments. Like, why is that? And I was like, and I look and I'm like, and I texted her and I was like, honestly, just keep the money. Like, whatever, you're my little sister. And then like, we got to another argument. So she's like, I'm sending you back. And she's like, Venmoed back to me. Good. And I'm like,
what kind of argument is that?
No, like we were yelling about something. I was like, hey, I need your help with this thing. And she's like, no, like we're like, she's like, no, you're using me. I was like, shut up. Like, she's my little sister. She's like 21 or something right now. And I was like, yo, like, come on. And then like my partner Joe, I'm like, yo, like we just paid her like 3 months. He's like, Kira. He calls her like Kira. And she's like, all right, just keep the money. He's like, and I'm just like a mess. But like, I see this, how they can be a problem. Even your brother, like your brother's
like my brother's about to like, I mean, I think he's got one more year left in college, but I want to create something that can be like, that he can come into, but that's not like an employee, but more of like, maybe I want to create a system or an ecosystem or an environment that I can have anyone sell for us without us having to manage them. So for example, like, my email agency, email marketing. So I have like a marketing agency that's like kind of everything. And then a subsidiary to that that's just email marketing specialized. And that's a pretty easy sell if you're good at just like outreach, email, LinkedIn, inbound, whatever.
Yeah.
So having an environment where he could just hustle, and I can just give him the resources, have him hustle. And if he sends a lead with his affiliate link and his funnel, we'll give him recurring kickbacks on that. And I think that's about as close of a business relationship that we can have without like stepping on toes and me being like, oh, like, you know, you're taking 6 hours a week of my time that's taking away from other business. It's like creating something that they can come into, but it's like, it's all of them. Like you can do what you want. If you make commission, cool. If you don't, like that's on you and your grit and your ability to be able to convert leads and stuff.
Yeah, it's tough with the siblings.
Yeah, it's tough.
My brother is such a shark. He is absolutely incredible. I would love to work with him. Like I know that we would crush together. He's 25. We're 5 years apart. And he works in private equity, but he's a VP. He is an absolute fucking killer. And I always am like, God damn it. I wish that he would just come work with us. But then I'm like, we're both so aggressive and like so stressful. Like,
yeah.
I just like,
y'all just fight all day.
We don't fight, but like, I'm like, but would we? Like, so like, you know, if something went wrong and like the two of us were both kind of in a stressful situation, I don't know how it would go. I would love to work with him at some point on something like maybe some type of like side project or something that we work on together because we're just like so close. But yeah, I'm like, ooh, the last thing I need is that blowing up my
like
family.
Your parents and all this stuff think about all this stuff too. Because like, they're probably like, damn, like I didn't expect my daughter to fucking like even my parents, his parents too, like we didn't expect our kids.
Like, what do they think you're going to do?
So my parents, I think thought I was like an assistant until maybe like a year and a half ago.
Really?
They really did not. Nobody expected me to be where I am today. I was like a teenager that like couldn't be told. I mean, I like basically got kicked out of my private school, and then I was I was like a whole kind of nightmare of a child for a little while. And then even after college, I just like I wanted to be a snowboarder, and I was like just kind of like living out of like the car and like always on the road, and I was like filming street parts, and like nobody thought that like this girl's gonna be a businesswoman.
Did you think
no, I didn't.
You didn't think it either. I thought you were like, I thought it.
I wasn't like,
you got tricked into it.
Yeah, like I got tricked, and like now I'm here, and like now I'm just like, oh, like I'm here, so like I gotta keep doing this stuff. But that's kind of like my operator mindset is like once I'm like doing something, I'm like, well, I just gotta keep doing this, and I'm also incredibly competitive, so I'm like I have to keep being the best at it. So like. I'm very grateful. Had Pearson not tricked me into this, we probably would not be here today. I would probably just like be doing email marketing at like a retail brand, like hanging out. But
hanging out, yeah, literally hanging out.
But like, yeah, due to just being incredibly like hyper competitive, like I have to be the best at whatever I'm doing. So like then like you pair that into entrepreneurship and like I'm like, well, one other SaaS company in the world like grew a little bit fast. It's like we can go that fast. Like we can figure that out. Like, well, they did this, and like if that company raised this much money at that valuation, then, like we can do that. So I'm constantly just like looking at the comps of like where everyone else is. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Like there's no way that person can do it better than we can do it. So
you're like an entrepreneur who didn't even know you were an entrepreneur, pretty much.
Essentially, no.
And your parents probably aren't entrepreneurs either.
They are not.
Damn.
My dad was always like big. My dad worked in big pharma, and he was just kind of always like, just work at a big company. It's stable. Like, don't work at a startup. They're very unstable. And now it's like hilarious. Cause I'm like, I have 2 startups.
Getting big.
They are big. I just spent a couple of days with my parents, and I think they get it now. But I think it's like a little bit hard for them to see like when I'm super stressed out, cause they're just kind of like, you should tell your boss to like, take it easy. And I'm like, so a funny thing about that is not anymore. But like,
I am the boss.
Like, but up until like, again, like 2 years ago, they would be like, I think that they thought that like, I didn't think they didn't get totally like the Pearson and I were partners. They'd be like, you need to tell Pearson that like, you need a break. And I'm like, that's not how this works.
Everything's like 50-50, right?
The agency isn't, because he technically started it before me. The other company.
Damn. Yeah. My parents still do this. They're like, hey, you sure you want to go like work at Goldman Sachs?
They're like, are you sure?
McKinsey,
like, you just want to get a job.
Like, my dad loves like the stock market, CNBC, all that stuff. He'll watch students be like, look, the jobs market's like crazy right now. Like there's so many jobs right now. And we're in New York. Like I went to Berkeley from undergrad, and he was like so gung-ho. He was like, come back from New York. It's the best place in the world. All the jobs. I come back and I open up a warehouse. And he's like, what? To this day, like every day he sees me, he's like, yo, like, you know, you can just like go get a job. You can chill all day and like, it makes easy 6 figures. And I'm just like, I I'm pretty balls deep in right now. I'm pretty deep in, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
There's almost no going back.
There's really no going back.
I'm like, what? Like people ask that all the time. They're like,
how the hell do you go back?
I know. Like, and I think like there was a point, like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like being an entrepreneur, as you guys know, like there's ups and downs, and there are like, I'll never, like, I think the lowest point I ever had was when we were going into COVID, and it was like a month in, and the market was just crazy. We didn't know what was going to happen. It was the first time that we had like serious churn going on at the agency. And I was like, are we going to have to like let people go?
What
like,
serious churn like that? So like a few a month?
It was like this rush where like, oh God, I mean, I think we lost like 20% of our revenue in like 30 days. And we didn't know if it was just going to keep dipping or like what was going to happen.
So just pulling like spend and stuff and everything.
Yeah, everyone was just like, they were like, we don't have, like, it was right, like COVID happened. And then like 2 weeks later, when everyone kind of realized like we're going to be bunkered down for a minute, everyone started cutting their spend because like people were just buying they were buying things that they needed. They weren't buying $4 soda. Like they were buying water at the grocery store. So that was like the first time where I was like, holy shit, it's over. And like, I just need to like go get a no stress job. Like I just want to run email campaigns like for some
We're gonna jump at Klaviyo or something.
Yeah, like I just want to go do something like mellow. And then fortunately enough, like things picked back up, and like then we went from like 30 employees to 60 employees within a year. It was crazy, and it was just like that. But that was like, I think about like the low points sometimes where I like sometimes you just get like really defeated, and you're like, I should just go work somewhere.
Yeah, for everyone who thinks this is easy and fun and money, it's not.
The amount of people that I think, again, because you don't like want to share, like when I'm like, I tell people all the time, like, dude, I cry like twice a week. Like I'm constantly stressed out.
Sarcastic?
Oh,
like,
no, not at all. Like 100%. Like I cried 3 times last week. I started tracking it because I'm like so stressed out all the time. And like, there's such high highs where I'm so excited. And then like the lows just hit you. Like, you know, like something like happens, like, you know, an employee puts in notice, or like a VC gets back to you and they pass when you like were on the 1 yard line, like with them, and like these things, and you're just like, how does that, you lose a deal that you like thought was in the bank, and you're just like, how does that happen? But then like something really great happens, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm the best in the world.
Yeah.
So I think that, a lot of people don't realize that it's like 24/7 nonstop, very like high stress, and that like you have to be on all the time.
Mm-hmm. Does it scare you that you like all these people here? Like you're the one who like
dependent on
I think that
you have people with kids here.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the pressure, and that's where I get emotional because I realize that like I can't quit.
Yeah, it's not just you. Like
I can't quit. Like this has gotten too big that like failure is like not an option, and too many people rely on me, and like I have to do this right.
Definitely. Yeah. That's some scary shit.
It's scary. It's scary when you're dealing with like adults, and they have families, and they have kids, and like you pay their health insurance, and like it's a very serious thing. And like
groceries, their rent, like everything.
Right. But that's kind of the joke I was making, where like it was going to be chill. And then like all of a sudden I was like, I mean, between the two companies, 110 people, like I'm responsible for paying.
Salary.
Yeah. Like where I'm responsible to pay all those people, and those people are paying all of their bills. And like, so I'm like, you need to just like keep growing and pull it together. And like, it doesn't matter how hard it is. Like you can just figure it out and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
We should call this podcast Figure It Out. That would have been a good one.
It's anyways.
I don't know how long it's been, but like, I don't want to take any more of your time.
Hour 12. I want to ask one more question, because you mentioned that you snowboarded a lot. And do you still have the opportunity to? Or?
I do. I do not get the same amount of days in that I do, but what I will say is that like with the highs and the lows, the days I do get on hill, I'm very selective about, and I get to do things that I never imagined doing. So like I can afford to go heli skiing once or twice a year, and I can go cat skiing, and like I can cherry pick. It's when you get a helicopter and they drop you off on the top of a mountain, and like you ski completely untouched terrain with a guide for the day. And
you're not shitting yourself doing this?
I mean, like I live for the thrill. Like I
went surfing once and almost drowned. Like, that's crazy.
So
I love snowboarding.
Yeah. Like, so I don't get to, like, I mean, I used to ride 50 days a season. Now I ride closer to like 15, but the days that I ride are so high quality that I don't think I would trade it.
Yeah. You never did it like competitively?
I did.
Yeah?
I did it competitively for long enough that I actually thought by the time I was a junior in college, I thought I was going to go pro, and that's what I was going to do after school.
Wow.
Because I was competing at such a level, and it was like my whole life. I mean, I was working 2 jobs while I was taking 18 credits in college to graduate, and I was riding 5 days a week.
Wow.
and like I was filming all
In
the
Jersey,
time.
you were doing all
Yeah.
this? Where can
So-
you go snowboarding in Jersey?
Mountain Creek. So
Actually?
I would stack my calendar for school, and I would take all my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I would go to 8:30 to 7 p.m. both of those days. And then I would take an 8:30 Monday, Wednesday class. And then the 8:30 would end and I would drive up to Creek and I would ride. Or Big Boulder, and I would ride one of those resorts midweek, and then most of the weekends I was traveling for contests.
What the hell? I didn't even know you could snowboard in Jersey, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah, Mountain Creek. It's like a water park to snowboard.
Yeah, I mountain bike a lot too. So then like I got into downhill mountain biking there, so I clearly like the adrenaline stuff.
I mean, we're both former athletes as well, and like athletes make killer entrepreneurs because they have that competitiveness that like at post college you don't get anywhere else other than fucking business.
No, I think it's that drive of like you have to be better because like if you're not first, you're last. Especially in sports that aren't team sports, where like it's very like you are first or you're last.
Yeah,
we just won a championship in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
We coach a basketball team, 8th graders.
Oh my god, I love that!
Back-to-back champions, and like actually, it's like we weren't the best team, but like literally, me and him were just like, you guys gotta learn how to win. Like, congrats, you're in 8th grade, you're like 13. You just gotta win. Like, obviously it's wreck, we get it, but like grow up a little bit, win. Yeah. And these kids like love us after that. Like, funny enough, they found our phone numbers last week. Made a whole group chat with
like,
us.
when are you taking us for pizza?
They're like, we want to be on the podcast. And I was like, your parents have signed a waiver. But anyways. Like,
you need to build something first.
There you go. Like, well, we won first place anyway. Yeah. But like, this was sick.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thanks for coming to the office,
Thanks for the invitation. I guess find you on Twitter.
Yeah, find me on Twitter.
If you're a big brand with the agency, what's the website for the agency?
So lunarsolargroup.com for the agency, and then stay.ai for this.
/ New Money Talks.
Yeah.
/ New Money Talks.
Somebody get that URL up right now.
This is a good one. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. This was something I forgot all that shit.
Yeah.
This thing called Gentleman's Challenge or like Gentleman's Agreement. My First Million does this.
Why is it called Gentlemen's?
Yeah.
Can't it be ladies?
Ladies and gentlemen.
National Women's Day. We're gonna call it the ladies.
The ladies agreement. So like, if you get to the end of this thing, we give all this value for free. In return, all we ask for like you to subscribe, like, comment, go follow Gina, go follow us.
Follow TikTok. We're almost at 50K.
TikTok. We're almost at 50K on TikTok.
Woo!
We had some posted like 6 million views. One got 3, one got 6.
Let's do it. Well, these are gonna get 200 million.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But like, thank you again, and on to the next one.
Yeah.